Hello everyone, my name is Benjamin O'Fallon and I'm here to share my story. You may have heard of my name before in connection with my role as an Indian agent or fur trader. Perhaps you've heard about some of the treaties I negotiated with the native nations. Or maybe you recognize my name in connection with the vast lands and waters of this area. I lived a life of complexity and controversy, fighting to leave my mark on a young nation still defining itself. But let's start from the beginning. I was born September 20th, 1793, in Lexington, Kentucky. My father, James O'Fallon, was an Irish immigrant who came to America for a better life. He even served as a surgeon under General George Washington in the Revolutionary War. But sadly, before I was born, my father passed away. My mother, Frances Clark, was left to raise me and my older brother John all alone. My mother was a strong woman, but she had her hands full trying to raise us boys. Luckily, she had two powerful brothers to step in and help, the famous Clark brothers, William and George Rogers Clark. William Clark, yes, the very man who trekked across the continent with Meriwether Lewis, mapping out the Louisiana Purchase for President Jefferson, took my brother and I under his wing. It was Uncle William who brought us to St. Louis in 1809. I was living in the midst of westward expansion, surrounded by opportunity. Now, growing up in the Clark household meant listening to talk of plans of grand expedition, diplomacy, and dealings with the fur traders. And even though there were many dangerous challenges to be faced, I knew my destiny was going to take me west. As a young man, I was always restless, searching for my place in this world. I tried my hand at many things like selling meat and flour, and even building grist mills and sawmills just north of St. Louis. But these ventures didn't bring me the success I had hoped for. Yet, as fate would have it, something bigger awaited me. In 1816, I became involved in the fur trade, a venture filled with risk but high potential. I partnered with the Missouri Fur Company, seeking to make my mark in this vast wilderness where fortunes could be won or lost with the snap of a beaver trap. But my life as a trader wasn't just about commerce. It was navigating the intricate politics of the American West. You see, the British still lingered in the region, and they were up to no good, stirring up trouble among the native nations and undermining U.S. authority. I had no tolerance for such meddling. In fact, in 1818, I personally arrested a British fur trader by the name of Robert Dixon, shackling him and delivering him to St. Louis as an example of what would happen to those who dare cross American lines. While some, including my own Uncle William, sought a more diplomatic approach, but I firmly believe that a strong approach was the only way to secure American interests. In that same year, I was appointed as an Indian agent stationed at Council Bluffs, Iowa. My work was demanding, but it was also very important. I was charged with keeping peace between the United States and the native nation tribes, like the Oto, Omaha, Pawnee, and Missouri, just to name a few. This job was full of challenges, from tense negotiations to battles over territories, but my resolve never wavered. I have so many memories of that time. Long journeys up the Missouri River, meeting with tribal leaders, hammering out treaties, and always watching the movement of the British fur traders. One of my most challenging assignments came in 1825 when I was a part of the Yellowstone expedition. I traveled with General Henry Atkinson and Major Stephen Harmon Long, and our goal was to solidify American control over the region to ensure peaceful relations with the native tribes along the Missouri and Yellowstone River. This expedition wasn't without its difficulties. I had strong opinions on how native relations should be managed. I believed that firmness, or sometimes even force, was necessary to gain respect from the tribes. During one council meeting with Crow leaders, tempers flared, and I struck two of their chiefs with the butt of my muskets. It was a reckless act, but in my mind, it was necessary to maintain order. Of course, my approach led to clashes, not just with the natives, but with my own colleagues as well. General Atkinson and I often butted heads. In fact, our disagreements were so heated that during one particular tense dinner, we even raised our cutlery at each other. But despite these conflicts, the expedition was a success. Treaties were signed, relationships were forged, and thank goodness not a single man was lost to violence. But the toll on my health was considerable. I'd always been plagued by illness. I had problems with my liver, my spleen, my bowels, and it seemed to grow worse with time. After the Yellowstone expedition, my health declined rapidly, and in 1826, I was forced to resign my post as an Indian agent. John Doherty, my trusted deputy, took over the role while I returned to St. Louis, weary but still determined. Even after leaving my official duties behind, I remained connected to the West. I ventured into business, building mills, running a store, but it was the culture of the native tribes that truly captivated me. I collected artifacts, pieces of the life and history of the people I had spent so much time negotiating with and learning from. And of course, there was my collaboration with the artist George Catlin, who painted portraits of many of the native leaders I had encountered. Here are some of the copies of the prints. This art served as a way of preserving something of their way of life, even as the West continued to change. My health continued to decline, and in 1842, at the age of 49, I passed away. Though my life was short, my legacy lives on in the treaties I helped negotiate and the stability I sought to foster in the name of Fallon County, which is tied to me through Fallon Creek. You see, this place, Fallon County, carries a connection to me, even though I've never set foot here. The creek that winds through these lands, Fallon Creek, was named after me, a gesture by my beloved Uncle William. It is a legacy that endures, a reminder that history is not just a story of famous expeditions or grand achievements, but of the people who, through their determination and conviction, shaped a course of a nation. So as you stand here today, on lands that have been home to so many diverse and resilient people, I ask that you remember not just my life, but theirs as well. The history of this place is not just one of American expansion. It is also the tale of resistance, of survival, and of relationships that were often far more complicated than we could ever understand. Though I've been gone for almost 200 years, my name and legacy remain as one thread as a larger tapestry of this land. Thank you so much for listening, and I hope the stories of this land inspire you as much as they've inspired me. Thank you.